Welcome to the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty podcast, episode number 58. I spent years building my interior design business, trying to do all the things: the marketing, the networking, the free content, spending thousands of dollars on training and education, only to see minimal growth. After years of frustration, I finally started to ask, what am I missing? I had the systems in place for powerful growth. I had amazing clients. I had determination, drive, and commitment to spare. And yet, I wasn't seeing the success I desired. What if business is not about the doing? What if building a powerful business requires both powerful systems and something else, something deeper? I'm Amy Van Meel, and I'm on a journey to discover that something else. If you are ready to build a powerful business and do it knowing that your success is inevitable, join me as I share both the powerful systems I know work and my lessons and revelations as I discover that something deeper. Welcome, Changemaker, to the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty podcast. Hey there, Changemakers. Amy here. Thanks for joining me today. I have started and restarted this recording of this podcast about 5 times now. And I am struggling between wanting to be honest with you and also wanting to be a place of calm and potentially a positive leadership. And it feels conceited of me to even say, that I'd like to be a place of positive leadership, but that's what I feel coming forward. The struggle is that this last week has been a great challenge for me. I know I'm not alone in this, and my challenge is not any better or worse than what those of you are going through. So I'm challenged this morning as I'm sitting down I want to give you something good. I want to give you something of value in the podcast this morning. And I'm wrestling with that a little bit because I'm not quite sure what you need from me. So I'm going to do my best to be honest with you and trust that it's going to help those that it needs to help. And if I receive judgment or backlash about it, I am going to practice being okay with that. As I mentioned, the last week has been incredibly tough. It's been tough for all of us. If it's only been a week, like it's kind of only been a week for me, then I'm sure that I'm getting off on the easier side of things. But the last week has been a challenge. I feel very much the energy of the world, as I'm sure that all of you do. But what's been very interesting to me is that it's been less about the energy of the world. I haven't necessarily felt the fear or the panic, and maybe that's because I have been very, very specific about the sources of information I allow to come in. But what has been happening is my emotions have been really in a place of feeling like they're wrestling. And early last week, I sent a message to my coach that was just rife with 4-letter words and just feeling very, very powerless and feeling very, very frustrated and feeling very much like, this is exactly how I felt my whole life, and how come I can't, no matter what I do, I can't seem to get past that. And what I have begun to realize is that in that feeling, I have lashed out against my guy. I have taken thoughts and emotions and things that were already existing, but super loaded them and put them on him. And my coach, gently reminded me later on in the week that, first of all, we manifest what we put out there, and how powerful of a manifester I am, which is that in truth actually gives me more fear than anything else that's going on, because I'm like, great, now I'm just going to manifest a whole bunch more shit that I don't want to have. But also reminded me that I have a choice. And I have been, this last week in particular, I think part of the challenge, I feel in a a friction point between the person that I have been and the person that I want to become. And I had been putting my focus on my relationship with my guy. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but feeling very much like I needed to make a decision. Was I willing to let this relationship go? Or would I be willing to stay the person that I am now? And my coach reminded me that it's a very fatalistic point of view, that it doesn't have to be one or the other, that it in fact could be a completely different option where I get to be the person that I want to be and I get to have an amazing relationship with my guy. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But that's where I've been wrestling. And so, as much as what's been happening in the world, that's where my focus has been. Just really finding this challenge, this struggle between, I suppose you could say it's between the dark and the light, between the person that I was, the person I want to become. The person that I was feels dark, feels heavy, feels negative, feels like she's always struggling, feels like things are always going against her. Whereas the person that I am in the process of becoming is someone who manifests powerfully and quickly. That part I know already, but manifests the things that she wants to manifest in, has a positive impact in the world, creates positive change in the world, can raise people up, even if it's just the person that she chooses to spend her life with. And that has been a real challenge, and I've been taking it out on my guy, and I've been taking it out in ways that haven't been fair. And even now, I feel the desire to defend myself and say, well, listen, none of those things that, that he and I talked about this week were false. They are how I feel and they are how I think. But on the other hand, definitely could have done better about it. So I want to share this with you today because this is a message that actually last night started to come through a number of times, and it's quite interesting. I always find it fascinating when all of a sudden I get the same message from totally random sources all at the same time. That to me is a universal kick in the pants to be like, hey, Amy, please pay attention. We're trying to tell you this. So first of all, my coach had asked me to transmute my original message, to go through, to process through. And what I realized is I began to do the work with an open mind and in a place that was completely outside of what I'm used to. So I actually went for a drive in the mountains and found myself an amazing place, just pulled off on the side of the highway with a spectacular view of the valley, and worked through that message. And what I realized was I had been in that message, it was old habits and old beliefs that were coming forward. Habits like needing to create drama, habits like needing to put myself in the role of the victim. All of these things ended up with my coach always asked me, what are you getting out of it? What do you get out of it? It's a very powerful question if you start to really understand. Why do you do this thing? What do you get out of it? And what I realized was that what I got out of it was the chance to abdicate, absolve myself of responsibility, to abdicate my divine throne. I know I'm getting a little bit deep here if you're not familiar with your divine self and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that today, but just I want you to take to heart this idea of choosing to ignore who we are, the highest version of who we are, choosing to instead raise up habits and patterns and beliefs from the past that aren't serving us, that haven't served us, that are easy, and that in times of great stress and times of great fear become our knee-jerk reaction. They become something that it's known. When the entire world is not known, when everything from day to day, the future is uncertain, our for some of you, your jobs may be uncertain, or if you can even buy groceries next week is uncertain, or, what that's going to look like for every single one of us. The future is very uncertain right now. And so when you're in that place of feeling that uncertainty, it is our human nature to go find something that is certain. And if you're in the middle of a personal growth cycle, if you're doing the deep inner work, on the one hand, you're like, yeah, I'm doing that inner work, and it's good when things are stable. But when things are unstable, when the literal foundations of society are shaken to their core as they are right now, we reach in fear for something that we know. And so I would encourage you, if you're doing that, if you're reaching out, if you're and let me see if I can bring some clarity to what that might look like. So for me, and again, it took me some time to understand what I was doing. It took me some time to really be able to bring some clarity to it. But if you are creating conflict in your life, if you feel like you're powerless, like you're stuck, like you're starting to voice all the beliefs from before. So for me, big ones were things like, I'm not powerful, I have no influence, I can't do anything to change the world. I'm always on my back foot. Somebody else is always in control. Something else is always in control. Those were past habits and beliefs that were rolling through. And so if you're seeing that, if you've been, like I said, if you've been in doing the growth work, you're in the ring, you're duking it out, and now you're like, holy shit, like the other side just grew 10 times bigger and has a whole lot more armory. It's very likely because you've actually stepped back into old patterns. So I would encourage you to just have a look. Are you regressing backwards? Are you finding, and I don't want to say this is right or wrong, are you finding solace in the known habits of your past? It's not a right or wrong thing, because we might be prone to say, well, it's wrong. You know how to do something better. Don't do that. But others might say, well, it's right because it's just human nature. It's neither. It's neutral. It's not one way or the other. It just is. And so what I would encourage you is to just be aware of that. Be understanding that that might be what's going on right now, and don't judge yourself for it. I had to be honest with my guy when I came back from my time in the mountains yesterday and realized the um, the emotion that I was in and the patterns that I was living out. I realized that I owed him an apology, and I did not apologize for what I had said, because I said, that was truth. I didn't lie to you in any of those things. But I have come against you very strongly this week, and that's not fair. And it's not fair the way that I have brought this forward. And I need to take responsibility for that. I have been, for the last week, I'd been abdicating responsibility on everything that I could think of. And because that was my old pattern. I grew up being told that, I had a parent who modeled and still does the victim role to a T, and it drives me crazy. But it serves that person, and so I had to be honest with myself about the fact that I was modeling that as well, and that I had called this forward because in light of everything else going on, this was serving me in some way, shape, or form. And if we're really honest, I mean, we know it really wasn't, but in that moment, it felt like I could throw my hands up and say, I can't do anything. I'm the victim here. What else am I going to do? And so I would encourage you to have a look at that. Is there a role that you have been working through, that you've been, steadily trying to heal, that is coming up for you right now? You might observe this in other people. Now, here's what's really fascinating, because I mean, like I said, you all know that I have a full-time job. If you don't, I have a full-time job, as well as the 2 businesses that I have on the go. And last week, my full-time job was ridiculously crazy. It was so busy. It's a good thing in a way, because obviously it means that, I have job security. Obviously that's good, but it's also exhausting on every possible level. And so by the time the day was over, I had nothing left. Like by, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday evening, I didn't even want to talk to my guy. I literally was talked out. I was done. It was, give me some dinner, let me just watch some Netflix or something, and then I'm going to go to bed because I need to somehow find a way to rally again tomorrow. So what's been really interesting about that is the fact that because I've been so exhausted just trying to keep up with the work that I have to do, I have had no contact with anybody else. Now, what's interesting about that is that I don't get exposed to the patterns that they might be in right now. But you may not all be that lucky. Maybe you live with your parents. Maybe you have kids, grown kids that are in their own patterns as well. Maybe you have relatives or friends that are very much in their own patterns, and they are coming out full force right now. And I cannot remember her name, the email that I got yesterday, but it was literally about healing our shadow side. I know very little about the idea of the shadow side, other than, from what I understand, it's sort of what we would call it the negative side of ourselves. And in her email, it was to a T what I had been going through yesterday. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what's coming up right now for all of us. Every single one of us, you can tune into or listen or ask anybody that you follow right now that is, deep into the inner work and about raising your vibration, all that kind of stuff. What's coming up right now for an enormous section of the population is the fact that any of those fears and doubts and beliefs and, stuff that's coming up in our shadow side is showing up full on right now. And that's true for every single one of us. So if it's showing up for you, it's showing up for the male person, it's showing up for the cashier, it's showing up for your mom, for your dad, for your friends, it's showing up for all of us. The beauty of it is that it's showing up for us to heal it. You all know that I listen very much to Catherine Zangina of the Manifestation Babe. I definitely encourage you to check her out on Instagram. She has a 4-day, I think she calls it a faith challenge. I'm not sure. Excuse me. I just actually listened to one video today, but she talks about, the fact that this is a massive leveling up. So I said at the beginning of this episode, I've said for all the way through this whole, coronavirus situation, this is ultimately for our greatest good and for the greatest good of the planet. And we don't know what that's going to look like right now. But I believe very much that this is going to be only for our benefit. And so while you're inside and you're at home, you're trying to figure out how to entertain yourself, read some books. If you have the opportunity to, I mentioned before, I have a library app that allows me to borrow books, just ebooks through my mobile devices, which is really fantastic. If you can buy some books and have them shipped to you, that would help our online retailers as well, which will help keep the economy going. Do some, take some information in personal growth. I highly recommend books such as The Power of the Subconscious Mind, The Game of Life and How to Play It, and the one by Vishen Lakhani, The Extraordinary Mind or something. It's something longer than that, but I can't remember exactly how it is. But definitely look for some of those, inner growth books. Spend some time meditating. If you've never meditated before, what a perfect time. You can look for guided meditations on YouTube. I know that Jim Fortin on his podcast maybe 5 or 10 episodes ago has a meditation. It's actually more like a self-hypnosis that is all about clearing negative thoughts out of your subconscious. It's really quite a good one. Check in with, people that are thought leaders and see what they are offering for resources to be able to manage your your emotions right now. But definitely, don't be afraid to look your emotions in the eye. Be aware of them, understand them, accept them. And this is something that I really wrestled with when someone said, accept let's use anger, for example. Accept your anger. Just feel it. When everything around us has been telling us, don't be angry, you need to let it go. And I'm like, I'm supposed to accept it and just like feel it through. You'll be amazed when you actually can just sit for a moment and let that anger, it's energy that literally just needs to roll through your body. Feel it. Let it move through your body. Feel where it might stop or where it might cause a physical reaction in your body. Accept it. Be okay with it. Say hello to it. Thank it for coming up and bringing some awareness to something, whatever that emotion is, whether it's, anger or frustration or fear or panic or worry or whatever it is. Just be okay with it. Now, I want to very, very, very briefly here as we wrap up, just do a quick shift of gears. I think I mentioned last week, and y'all, it feels like it's been 16 weeks ago, so I can't remember for sure, but I think I mentioned that I'm going to be doing something here for the community and hopefully for the greater good. Now, I've been back and forth a little bit on how this is going to look, but here's what I've sort of come down to. I'm going to be hosting a live Q&A strategy session on Thursdays. It'll be Thursdays. They'll start at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're in the Pacific, that's 8 a.m. If you're Central, that's 10 a.m. And if you're Eastern, that's 11 a.m. But it's going to be 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Thursdays. It's going to be in the Facebook group. So there should be a link on my Instagram page. And so go ahead and join the group, or, I'll get a post up so you can follow. I know Facebook has this thing that you can like schedule a live video, what have you. The intention is this. I'm very good at thinking of creative solutions and creative ways to move around things. I really enjoy helping others with their business. And I look at what's happening right now, and so many of you either are already in a business and you're like, what the hell do I do now? I need to somehow be able to change or pivot, and what's that going to look like? And some of you might be just starting your business, which is also a phenomenal opportunity to get started. If you're trying to figure out, what could this look like? How do I pivot? I had a fascinating conversation that I think I mentioned last week, and again, I can't remember for sure, with a person that did mobile coffee, where they would go to businesses, right? Like you've seen like food trucks and things like that. Same thing where they would go to businesses. Well, now everybody's working from home. And so what's that going to look like? So we spent about an hour and a half or so strategizing together, like, okay, what could that look like? How could we make that work? Now we were looking at a specific platform that this person was using. So what are the possibilities with that for them to be able to like pivot the business? But it was highly valuable. It was super fun for me, which is really enjoyable. I love having conversations like that, which are super fun. But in the end, the owner was also really grateful. It's so good sometimes just to have an outside perspective. So I'm going to be hosting these free strategy sessions. You can find it on Facebook. What I'm also going to do, and this is where I was wrestling a little bit, I wanted originally to do these as paid sessions not because I'm focused on bringing money in, but because I wanted to make sure that those of you who joined would take it seriously, would find value in it. That if we spend some time together, a few minutes or whatever, going through your question, that you're actually going to do something with it versus just like, okay, well, let's go see what this free resource is. So I would ask that if you're going to join me and if you're going to bring some questions, and I would very much love to have you there, that you do to understand that there is deep value in our time together and that you respect that. But on that note, I'm also going to be offering 2 alternative options that are more intense that will be paid options. So you'll find out all the information if you go to daretobegin.net/strategy. That's daretobegin.net/strategy. That landing page is on its way. Y'all, I'm trying to pull it together as quickly as I can given the time and energy that I've got. But on that page, you're going to find more information about the 2 other levels, which will include more one-to-one time, but also a few extra resources that I'm going to be offering. So again, daretobegin.net/strategy will find you more about that. And I would just encourage you, if you haven't yet, follow the Facebook page, only because that's going to be the best place for me to be able to get your questions and be able to do some answers. So that link will be in my Instagram profile at I Dare to Begin. I cannot tell you what the Facebook profile is. It should be I Dare to Begin as well, but it might be something different. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for what you're doing in the world. Whether you feel right now like you're not really doing anything and you're just barely, surviving, you're struggling, you're really having a hard time. If you are staying at home, if you are taking care of yourself, if you're making sure that you're, following the social distancing that they're talking about, you are putting good into the world. You don't have to be doing big, flashy, fancy things in order to do good in the world. So thank you for that. Thank you for your contribution to making the situation a situation that is going to be one for incredible positivity and incredible good. And my heart is with each of you. I am holding space for you, that this is going to grow you, even as I hold space for myself to allow myself to move through and grow out of this as well. I know this is going to be a powerful time for us, and I just want to encourage you in that way. On that note, have a wonderful rest of the week. Take good care of yourself. Take good care of those around you. And let's be lights into the world. Are you tired of figuring it out all on your own? Of sitting in overwhelm, knowing that you're not moving forward, but having no idea where or how to start? Are you ready to learn effective, profit-supporting strategies for your business so that you can finally earn the money you desire and step into the freedom that you're working so hard to create? If so, I invite you to join me inside the Launchpad. You'll get instant access to free training designed to meet you where you are right now and propel you forward toward the dream that you hold in your mind. It's time to make a powerful move toward your future. Time to step up and serve the people who desperately need your help. Let's not keep them waiting any longer. Today is the day. Join the Launchpad now. Just go to daretobegin.net/the Launchpad and sign up. Your success is inevitable. Now, let's launch it.